I welcome you all to the EVS lesson, the fourth graders. Now, we had read about the northern plains in the last class, and we discussed the two prominent basins in the northern plains. One is the Indus Basin, which has the 5 tributaries of the river Indus, that is Sutlej, Ravi, Beas, Chenab, and Jhelum. And the larger part of the Indus Basin, as I told you, is in Pakistan. India has only a small part of this Indus Basin. The next basin is the Ganga Brahmaputra basin, formed by the rivers Ganga and Brahmaputra. And as I had told you, the Ganga originates from the glacier Gangotri in the Himalayas. And as the Ganga flows on its way, it is joined by 3 rivers, the Mandakini, Bhagirathi, and Alaknanda. And these rivers flow through the plains of Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, and Bihar. Now, these rivers originate from the Himalayas, and as they flow down, they carry a good amount of silt that makes the soil fertile. So, areas near these basins of these rivers are very populated, densely populated, because of the fertile alluvial soil, and agriculture thrives, and industries also thrive on the river banks. And as I had told you, that you have the Ganga basin is watered by the Ganga, Yamuna, and the tributaries of the Ganga such as Gandak, Ghagra, Gomti, Kosi, and Son. Now let us get to the detailed study of the Ganga Brahmaputra basin on page 216 in your textbook. Please follow as I am reading. The Ganga Brahmaputra basin. The Ganga basin and the Brahmaputra basin are parts of the larger Ganga Brahmaputra basin. The Ganga takes its birth in a glacier named Gangotri on the southern slopes of the Himalayas. During its downward journey, the Ganga is joined by the Mandakini, Bhagirathi, and Alaknanda rivers, as well as some streams before entering the northern plains. So as the Ganga flows down from the glacier Gangotri, it's joined by 3 rivers. You need to remember the names, the Bhagirathi, Alaknanda, and Mandakini, and also some small streams and rivulets. And here the river loses speed and flows slowly over the flat plains of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and West Bengal. So it is not a very fast flowing river. It flows very gently and calmly through the plains, crossing the states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and West Bengal. Next paragraph. The Ganga basin is watered by the Ganga, Yamuna, and the tributaries of the Ganga such as the Gandak, Ghagra, Gomti, Kosi, and Son. Now these are all small rivers that joined the Ganga. So that is why it is not a main river. That is why they are called tributaries of the Ganga. They are, separate, distributed from the Ganges. The Ganges break down into small rivers or rivulets, and these are known as tributaries. And the tributaries are the Gandak, Ghagra, Gomti, Kosi, and Son. The rivers which start from the Himalayas get water from the melting snow on the mountains. They therefore have plenty of water throughout the year. Thus, the fields of the northern plains get enough water for agriculture. Now, these rivers have their originating point in the Himalayas. So, they are throughout the year filled with water. Because as the snow melts or the ice melts on the top of the Himalayas, the water keeps flowing down, and that water comes into the Ganga with its tributaries. And so it is always having water. These rivers never go dry. And for this reason, the area near these rivers are also very fertile and very good for agriculture. Next paragraph. In West Bengal, the Ganga flows very slowly and splits into 2 branches, the Hooghly and the Padma. In West Bengal, you see the Ganges comes down, and if you take the city of Kolkata, you will see Kolkata has the Howrah Bridge. Now the Howrah Bridge is built on the river Hooghly, and Hooghly is the one that separates Kolkata into two parts. The bridge that is there, it's on the river Hooghly. So in West Bengal, the Ganga separates into two branches known as the Hooghly and the Padma. The Hooghly flows through Kolkata. The Padma flows through Bangladesh, where it joins the Brahmaputra before entering the Bay of Bengal. So as this river Ganga comes down, it reaches West Bengal. It comes into two branches, that is the Hooghly and the Padma. Now incidentally, the Hooghly is in Kolkata and the Padma goes into another country, you can say, that is Bangladesh. And then after traveling through the plains of Bangladesh, the Padma finally empties itself into the Bay of Bengal. The source, next paragraph, the source of the Brahmaputra is in Tibet, where it's called Sangpo. Now the Brahmaputra river originates in Tibet, that's a different country, and that point of originating point is known as the Sangpo. It runs parallel to the Himalayan ranges. That point from where the Brahmaputra begins or starts its journey is parallel. That means right like this, like two parallel lines. It runs parallel to the Himalayan ranges eastwards before turning south into Arunachal Pradesh. For this, you have to refer the map of India to get an idea where Arunachal Pradesh is. So please, if possible, lay your hands on a map of India, a political map or a physical map, where you will very clearly see the river Brahmaputra entering Arunachal Pradesh after coming from Tibet. It runs parallel to the Himalayan ranges eastwards before turning south into Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Bangladesh. The Brahmaputra basin is surrounded by the Garo, Khasi and Naga hills. So the basin formed by the Brahmaputra has three hills, that is the Garo, Khasi and Naga hills. Next page. The Brahmaputra carries large amounts of water with it. Due to heavy rainfall in the northeastern region, the river overflows during the rainy season, causing floods and damage to life and property. Now, as I told you, this originates from the region of the Himalayas, but it is always again full of water. And this river, as it comes down, crossing all the various states and reaches down to Arunachal Pradesh, and in case there's heavy rain, immediately it gets flooded. So this is one reason why the Brahmaputra basin always has floods. If there's heavy rainfall, the river itself has a lot of water. The heavy rainfall causes the banks of the river to overflow, and this causes floods which damage property and livestock and agriculture. Next heading, occupation of the people. That is the jobs that these people do, those who are living in the river basins. The fertile soil brought by the rivers and availability of water make the northern plains suitable for the growth of food crops such as rice and wheat, and cash crops such as jute, sugarcane and cotton. This area is called the Rice Bowl of India, as most of India's rice is grown here. Now, the rivers flowing from the Himalayas, the Ganga, the Brahmaputra, all of them, I told you, they are always full of water, because the ice that melts on the Himalayan tops, it melts and flows down. The snow melts and flows down as water. And this water brings with it a fertile soil, which is very good for agriculture. And so the northern plains, they are very fertile and many crops are grown, especially rice and wheat. Now, rice and wheat are crops that we Indians ourselves, we consume a lot of them for our daily use. Whereas there are some other crops, jute, sugarcane and cotton, and they are known as cash crops. Now you can ask me, what are cash crops? Cash crops, cash means money. So very easily you can correlate the term, meaning that cash crops are crops which bring in money for the country. So cotton to a great extent is exported, jute is also exported, sugarcane is also exported. This means India gets money in return. So these three crops are known as the cash crops because they bring in a lot of profit for the country. And this area, the northern plains, are of course known as the rice bowl of India because it is very good for agriculture, and majority of the rice and wheat produced in India is grown in these plains. With that, we come to the end of the lesson. I want you to go through the lesson very properly and very carefully, remembering the names of the rivers, the northern plains, the tributaries of the Ganges, and also the starting point of the Brahmaputra and the Ganges. Please read through the lesson, and that's all for today. Thank you.